JKB back with another episode. Today in the show I'm reviewing Dead Cells for the Nintendo Switch. If you like my review, please consider subscribing and also hitting the like button and sharing it with your aunt in jail. Let's get into the review of Dead Cells. Yeah, I'm late to the party. The Dead Cells is fucking great party. Dead Cells has everything I love about a video game. It's challenging, but it's fair in its combat. There's a ton of weapons to discover that all feel wonderful to use. It has that incredible replay value that most game devs dream of achieving in their creations. This is a game that's been around in early access on PC for about a year. I hadn't heard a single word about it until every single YouTuber started praising it online last week. And damn do I wish I didn't sleep on this one, because Dead Cells is one of my favorite games of the year. Dead Cells is one of those ever so popular roguelike Metroidvania games that captures the Castlevania and Metroid vibe, but adds permadeath, which was made popular, of course, by Dark Souls. During gameplay, enemies will randomly drop cells that are used to permanently upgrade your character, and they will carry over even after you die in-game. However, you'll need to get to the end of each procedurally generated level. There's a few pre-designed sections on each map that you'll come across over and over, but the placement of the enemies and the items is completely randomized each time you die. Without getting into any detail, I'll reveal that there's boss enemies called Keepers that you'll encounter during your playtime, which breaks up the gameplay and gives you a whole new challenge. Speaking of gameplay, you'll notice that the level design is very reminiscent of Metroid. You'll be given the option to backtrack in any of the levels, but at what cost? I've been carrying 20 cells and decided that maybe it's best that I just get to the end of the level to cash out my cells and upgrade. But if I'm feeling adventurous, I can continue looking around the map for secrets and enemies I may have missed. One of the coolest things in this game is the ability to change the design of the food items that you'll come across in the game. See, my girlfriend is vegan, which means she's basically eating a lot of bark and dirt, so I've always felt bad because she's watching me play games like Castlevania and I find a random chicken in the wall, and I always yell out, "Why isn't this game representing my girlfriend?" Well, finally, I've been able to change the items in this game in the start menu to have a vegan option. So instead of chicken, it'll be a giant beet that'll heal me in the game. This game should be banned for being addictive. With each new weapon you come across in the game, you'll have a few moments of discovery. Will you want to keep the ranged bow and arrow or try the twin blade swords? It'll come down to what feels right for you, or it'll come down to what does the most damage against the enemies. Enemies in a game like this can often feel like they're copied and pasted around the level, and that's a mistake that most of the games in this genre make. But with Dead Cells, enemy designs can be taken beyond that, because the enemies that are on their own may be easy to take down, but it's when you get further into the game you start to see how the enemies can almost work together to create a perfect storm of challenging moments. One of the strangest things I noticed when I was playing the game is that the game itself changes in pace. You'll start out unsure of the enemy patterns, which will lead you to discovering that the game is best played when you move around your character on screen at breakneck speeds as you slice and dice your way to the end of the level. There's different strategy for each of the enemy types. Some of them will simply toss a small exploding orb onto the ground in front of you, but won't physically attack you by any other means. There's enemies with swords that will cut your health down significantly with one swing. There's even this bloody bat that will target you from a distance and fly directly at you at breakneck speed and cut you down. The good part here is that you can roll evade every single attack in the game, but it's going to come down to timing. There's a small notification that displays just before the enemy will attack, and if you time it just right, you can evade each of the attacks by rolling out of the way and even knocking enemies back if you're using a shield. The game comes together to be a masterclass in game design. It's gorgeous with its effects and smooth animations. The story, which I've saved till the end here, is really bare bones. There's a character on an island which is a small little slug character that decides to take control of a new body every time you die. The island itself changes every time you die, which gives you a reason on why the levels are changed every single time you die. Overall, the character hardly has any emotion displayed, except for a few times you interact with the environment by knocking on a door or running into a shopkeeper. In closing, if you want to experience an amazing video game that's challenging, rewarding, and addictive, go buy Dead Cells on any platform and become addicted. Once you get the hang of the game, you'll die a lot less, and one of the cool parts about this is that usually a game like this can be very frustrating, but I realize that the game itself is very fair, and you really only have yourself to blame. I personally love the idea of gambling, if I should really get to the end of the level and cash in the cells I've currently collected, or should I go back and find more enemies and get more cells out of them and then get to the end of the level. They've taken a page directly out of the Castlevania book when it comes to finding health around the level, but I'm going to keep that a secret for you to discover yourself. I'll just say look for secrets, trust me, they're everywhere. If you like tons of different styles of weapons, amazing combat, and collecting, then this game is for you. Don't expect a major story here because you will not find one. The only negative I have is that the game on the Nintendo Switch seems to have slowdown that occurs when there's more than, 7 enemies on screen at once, and it doesn't seem to happen all the time, but it happened enough for me to bring it up in the review. If you don't buy this game, I think that's just uncalled for. Hell, you're watching a review about the game, which means you must be interested, so I'm going to tell you right now, go out there and buy this game and support the studio. I'm going to give Dead Cells a 9.5 out of 10 and label it my game of the year so far. That's how much I liked it, and I think you need to go and play it. So I'll see you in the next episode of JKB.